Hello, and welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll be taking you to Vancouver in Canada, where on the 26th of September 2017, the bodies of Richard Jones and his wife Dianna Mah-Jones would be discovered. The pair had been brutally murdered in an attack which appeared to have no rhyme or reason. Both were well-respected members of their local community and had no known enemies. But before we get into this case, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel over the past few weeks. I also want to thank the Crime Reel and Diatrip, who were key to pointing you all in my direction. I've been truly grateful for all the kind words and positive feedback this channel has received in recent weeks. Because of your support, my channel is now monetized, and my videos seem to be reaching a wider audience. I can't thank you enough for inspiring me to continue making these videos. Now, you may already be aware of this case, not only because of the name of the person who carried out this atrocity, but the over 9-hour interrogation video, which is readily available on YouTube. In fact, I've left a link in the description should you wish to check it out. Please be warned, it may be the most frustrating 9 hours of your life, as it certainly was for me when I watched it. But in this video, I want to focus less on that, and rather what took place, how our culprit was identified, and how police worked tirelessly to ensure that Richard and Dianna's killer wouldn't get away with this horrific crime. And so without further ado, let's begin. Richard Jones, 68, and his wife Dianna Mah-Jones, 65, were a married couple who lived near West 64th Avenue and Hudson Street, Vancouver. Little is known about Richard, except that he suffered with long-term illness, requiring him to use a walker to get around. Dianna, however, was a well-respected occupational therapist with Vancouver Coastal Health, where she worked at the G.F. Strong Rehabilitation Centre and Vancouver General Hospital. She had become a recognised leader as a result of the contributions she had made in her field of expertise, earning her the award of Outstanding Occupational Therapist of the Year in October 2015. She was also a keen dancer and had a love for tap dancing. For almost 25 years, Dianna was a tap dancing member of the Razzmatazz dance group. The couple were greatly loved and respected members of the community. Dianna in particular loved her work and was fully dedicated to helping others who needed it. Richard would even let Dianna test new treatment ideas on him to better help her patients. And this was why when she unexpectedly failed to show up to work on the 26th of September 2017, her colleagues would immediately grow concerned. When Dianna failed to show at the G.F. Strong Rehabilitation Centre, Anthony Purcell, a colleague of Dianna's, would travel to her home to check that everything was okay. As he approached the stairs of the home, he noticed a bloody footprint on one of the stairs. He immediately called for emergency services. Shocked at what he was witnessing, he made his way to the back of the Joneses' home, where he would get out of his wheelchair and climb his way up the back stairs to get a look inside the house. He called out to the couple and shouted that he was coming inside, but there was no answer. Anthony then opened the door. Anthony saw blood everywhere, as well as clear signs of a struggle. Realizing that a crime had taken place, he waited for the police to arrive. When Vancouver police arrived at the Jones household, they were shocked at the level of violence which had taken place there. It was described as a scene out of a horror movie, with blood found all over the home. Like Anthony Purcell, they had noticed clear signs that a struggle had taken place, as well as bloody drag marks evidencing that they had been moved. The walls were spattered with blood, and the drag marks led investigators into the couple's bathroom, where they found Richard and Dianna inside the shower, with the water still running. Police traced the pair's steps and learned that on the 26th of September 2017, Dianna had dance practice, which she attended, before leaving. This was shortly before 7:10 in the evening. Soon after, she was captured on CCTV at a Costco, carrying out some grocery shopping. She would head home from here, arriving at around 8 p.m. Richard was also spotted on CCTV earlier that day on the 26th of September, entering a liquor store. This provided police with a rough window of time that the attack took place. Police believed that shortly after arriving home, Dianna was being watched by someone hiding behind a tree, waiting for the right moment to attack. Moments after opening the door and entering the home, Dianna was ambushed by this individual, where her neck was slashed, severing her carotid artery. It's believed she died quickly. Richard, however, would not suffer the same fate. Upon hearing the commotion, he goes to investigate, but is brutally attacked. Richard would be stabbed more than 100 times, all over his body, with evidence to suggest that these stabbings were being carried out after he was dead. After killing and moving the bodies, the killer then raided the fridge, eating a peach and drinking milk, before stealing $30 and fleeing in Dianna's car, a white Kia Soul. Police would rule out robbery as a possible motive, as there were still many valuables left within the home, including electrical equipment such as laptops and jewellery. Dianna's jewellery was also found to still be on her person at the time of her death. Police would find traces of DNA not belonging to Richard or Dianna around the home, as well as DNA under Dianna's fingernails. This would be checked on their criminal database, but would yield no results. They would put out an appeal to the public, requesting anyone who had any video footage between the 26th and 27th of September to come forward. In particular, they were interested in obtaining footage within the area of West 70th Avenue to the south, West 58th to the north, and between Oak and Granville Streets. In the meantime, police had managed to identify where the hatchet, which was found on the Jones lawn, had been purchased, after the barcode, which was still on the weapon, was traced to a Canadian tyre store situated on Southwest Marine Drive. After reviewing the CCTV footage made available to them by the store's general manager, they were able to catch the first glimpse of the man they suspected of being responsible for this crime. On the 13th of September 2017, less than 2 weeks before the double murder, a young Asian man is seen entering the store, where he's seen browsing until stopping at the knife section. He would end up purchasing the hatchet, as well as gardening gloves and a baseball bat, which would also be recovered at the crime scene and contain DNA not belonging to Richard or Dianna. The only issue was that they had no idea who this person was. As earlier mentioned, the DNA yielded no matches, and the clear image of the man's face garnered no results in criminal databases. Police would go all out within the local area, calling upon over 240 police officers to canvass over 1,000 homes and businesses. The idea was to collect as much video footage as possible. They would spend almost 500,000 Canadian dollars in the hope they would be able to recover the stolen Kia Soul, or show the man police were hunting in the local area. Dianna's car would be found at around 9:30 p.m. on the 28th of September, just 2 days after the double homicide, where it was left parked less than half a kilometre or just 7 blocks from the Jones family home. Sifting through the thousands of hours of video footage they obtained, they saw their prime suspect near the Kia Soul, where it was later found dumped, as well as being captured on CCTV walking past homes just hours after the murders took place. Police would heavily survey the area, but subtly, so as not to spook their suspect, as they believed the man in question was local to the area, with the aim being to find the suspect, track his movements, and wait for him to slip up. A month later, they would spot their suspect. This was fortunate, as the officers responsible for identifying the man were preparing to give up for the day, just moments before the breakthrough. Now they had their man in their sights, police needed to obtain a sample of his DNA in order to compare it against the samples found at the crime scene. Police would identify their suspect as Rambo Wei Kam after they tracked him to a local Bank of Montreal that he visited. Running his criminal record through their police database, they learned that Rocky had no previous history of mental illness, and the only run-in he had with police was a traffic accident he was involved in at Alberta. This perplexed investigators, as this wasn't the type of profile they were expecting from a double murderer. Furthermore, obtaining Rocky's DNA would prove tricky, as he rarely left his home. Police would track Rocky for just under 2 weeks, where he only left his home 3 times. This meant gathering cast-off DNA was practically out of the question. Concerned over public safety, investigators tried a rather unorthodox method. Using a female plain-clothed officer, they put her arm in a cast, where she would wait for Rocky to leave a grocery store police had followed him to. As he left, she asked him if he could help her with opening her water bottle and pill bottle so she could take some medication. Probably thinking he was a good Samaritan, he assisted her and went on his way. Police now had his DNA. They would compare this to the unknown DNA found at the crime scene, and they learned that not only did it match, but there was a 1 in 630 quintillion chance that it wasn't his DNA. Charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, Rambo Wei Kam would be taken into police custody 6 weeks after the murders of Richard and Dianna Mah-Jones took place. Rocky Rambo was born in Hong Kong on the 2nd of August 1992, but moved to Calgary, Canada, as a teenager. He was the second of 3 children. His father was a huge Sylvester Stallone fan, explaining why he was named how he was. His father is believed to have been an engineer, while his mother worked as a teacher and an accountant before retiring. Rocky described his mother as fake, and couldn't specify exactly what his father's job was. While living near his brother, he earned a university degree from Calgary, where he studied economics. However, after graduating, he found it difficult to obtain work. He would move from Calgary to Vancouver, although there was never a specified reason for this move taking place, although he did state that he preferred the public transport system in Vancouver compared to Calgary. At the time of the double homicide, Rocky had only been living in Vancouver for around 4 months, where he stayed in an apartment in Granville, just under 1 kilometre away from the Joneses' home. He would develop a rather keen interest in video games at an early age, initially discovering them while living in Hong Kong, before carrying on his passion in Canada. At the time of his arrest, it was estimated that Rocky would play video games between 12 to 13 hours a day. Rocky lived an isolated lifestyle. He struggled to meet new people in the real world and seemed to find solace in the games he played. He was still unemployed at the time of his arrest. As I mentioned earlier, Rocky exhibited no signs of mental illness, and besides one interaction with police after getting into a road traffic accident, he wasn't known to police. There also appeared to be no connection between him, Richard Jones, or Dianna Mah-Jones. So what caused him to carry out such a horrific act of brutality? Police were determined to find out. Before I discuss the interrogation, I've left a link in the description that you can watch yourself, as it's freely available on YouTube. However, it is 9 hours long, so if you decide to watch it, ensure you're well prepared. If not, I'll be laying out a summary of the events that took place. Initially, Rocky is asked basic questions: name, date of birth, etc. Notably, when Rocky's name is read out to him, he awkwardly laughs in embarrassment, telling the officer gathering his details that he doesn't like his name. Throughout the 9-hour interrogation, Rocky appeared to cut a nonchalant attitude, almost nonplussed at the situation he was facing. Interrogating officer Sergeant Leah Terpsma would try to build a rapport throughout the interrogation, but Rocky would throw up barriers constantly. He would be open to discuss anything non-related to the case, but when it came to talking about the crime itself, he would repeatedly say, "I don't want to talk about it." Slurping on a bottle of water, as well as munching on a turkey sandwich, not the chicken one he asked for, Rocky would continue to resist the techniques deployed by his interrogator, denying the accusations presented to him, repeating, "I don't want to talk about it," or "I have nothing to say," again and again and again. He would say that he wanted a phone to play apps and games with. Unsurprisingly, his requests would be rejected. When Officer Leah explained his home was being searched, Rocky asked for his bedroom not to be looked at, out of fear that they would find his collection of adult material. He also refused to give his email address to Officer Leah. He would be shown the CCTV footage of him in the Canadian Tire store buying the kill kit. Again, he would say nothing. He would awkwardly chuckle throughout the interview as well. Eventually, he'd be removed from the interrogation room, where Officer Leah would rearrange the crime scene photos for maximum impact. However, this plan backfired, as Rocky continued to say nothing. She would even present the DNA evidence, explaining to Rocky how they obtained it, and explaining the overwhelming odds that the DNA was his. After examining Rocky's personal belongings, they even found traces of Dianna's DNA on the inside of Rocky's glasses. Again, he would repeat the same line, "I have nothing to say. I don't want to talk about it." Eventually, Officer Leah would ask Rocky to apologize, where the interrogation would conclude the following way.
What do you want to say? You know, Rocky, I can sit there and I can feel that you are feeling something. I can see that you're emotional. Why aren't you taking this chance to at least express remorse? Maybe today you're not ready to talk about the whole ugly story, but at least say you're sorry. For what? You're an animal.
Rocky Rambo Wei Kam would stand trial, charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, to which he'd plead not guilty. Instead, his defence would state that Rocky wasn't responsible for his actions due to entering what they called gaming conscious. They would claim that Rocky believed he was in a video game and would use clips from popular Bethesda game Skyrim to make their point. Rocky would show little emotion, although when he took the stand to give testimony, he would be seen smiling as well as laughing when describing certain parts of the Skyrim footage. Despite the claims made by the defence, the prosecution were able to convince the judge that Rocky was not suffering from a mental disorder and used the CCTV footage showing him buying his kill kit to demonstrate that the attack was a premeditated one. On the 11th of June 2020, Rocky Rambo Wei Kam would be found guilty on both counts of first-degree murder, and on the 28th of July, his sentence was handed to him. The prosecution wanted Rocky to be handed 2 consecutive life sentences, meaning he wouldn't be eligible for parole for 50 years. However, the judge rejected this, handing him 2 concurrent life sentences, resulting in him being eligible for parole in 25 years. Explaining her reasons, Justice Laura Gero stated that consecutive sentences would be unduly long and harsh. She would also say the following: "While the nature of the crime is extremely troubling and an indication Mr. Kam may continue to represent a threat to society, there were no pre-sentence reports or psychological or psychiatric reports that indicate Mr. Kam is incapable of rehabilitation and therefore will be dangerous in 25 years. He'll be eligible for parole in 2042. Thank you for watching the video. This was a very perplexing case, which to this day Rocky has provided no rhyme or reason as to why he carried out this terrible attack. There have been many claims about the impact violent video games may have on the development of children and adults, as well as the addictive tendencies video games may possess. However, the science is still in its infancy, and the term gaming conscious that the defence used isn't even an official term. I fully imagine that this would have been the kind of case that anti-video game activist Jack Thompson would have jumped all over. Personally, I don't believe that Rocky didn't know what he was doing. I'm generally skeptical over claims that video games cause violence, as the very same things were said about comic books as far back as the 1950s. But let me know what you think. Do you think Rocky's obsession to video games was what caused him to do what he did? Or do you think it was a poor excuse to justify his actions? I'd like to know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're new here and you found this video informative, please consider subscribing to the channel, as well as hitting the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, take care and goodbye for now.